Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our podcast and slash our webinar this evening for teachers. Danny, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I'm excited.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm very excited, and it's been quite an exciting year. In fact, it's been an exciting couple of weeks for a lot of teachers, and we'd like to welcome each and every one of you for joining us this evening. Teachers that are out there, many of you are parents, so I know that you are on holiday at the moment, which is great, but certainly still working full time, having your kids at home. So that's always a job of its own. But Danny, for the viewers out there, do you want to give them a little bit of a background, what you've been doing at New World, the people and the families that you've been speaking to before we get into the slide?
Okay. Yeah. No. Definitely. So I started off as your assistant, and as we all know, your primary goal is recruitment, and so naturally I started assisting in that and really enjoying it. And we got to a point where our primary focus is teachers and recruiting teachers.
Yeah,
and that's what I've been getting into more so, not just explaining to teachers what they need to be able to get into these interview rooms, successfully get into these interview rooms, but also the whole recruitment process of it all. It's not just someone with a piece of paper in front of them checking to see if you tick all the boxes. It's such a holistic approach when it comes to teachers in general.
No, absolutely. And, to add to that, You want to try and get a family into a room where they're going to be not only comfortable, but when they find and land an opportunity at a school, we want to make sure that there's longevity.
Yes.
It's very easy to put someone in front of a principal and get a job. It's actually quite easy. But the difficult part, and this is where real recruitment comes in, and the real support that I believe we bring to the table for families is that families find them schools and teachers find them teachers in schools where there's longevity.
Yes.
They build their self and personal development. They love the students that they teach, and the mentorship that they have from principals and HODs and so on and so forth. So that's really the goal and the real exciting part about it. Although it comes with its challenges, as you've seen.
Yeah, it's because it's such an holistic approach. It's not so straightforward, and it's never just one interview. I mean, as you've come across, it's rarely about your academics or what you've accomplished. They want to know about your family life. They want to know.
They want to know you as a person.
They want to know that because at the end of the day, it's an investment that the school's making.
Yeah.
So they want to know that when you arrive here, they want to know that you are going to thrive, but your family as well, your partner and your kids. Because essentially, if they aren't thriving in the community themselves, you won't.
No.
And if you're not thriving, that's going to ripple down into your classroom and into your students. So that's the approach that these schools look at it from. It's you and it's your family.
Yeah.
Because you guys are one and it is whole. And once that picture is built beautifully, sky's the limit.
No, especially if you're going into a schooling system that is very religious. If you're going into a school that's very Christian or Catholic, it's not just you; it's the family, as Danny's mentioned, and it's such a valuable point. And just to add to that, ladies and gentlemen, is because we have had the opportunity of placing many South African teachers or teachers in general in Australia, we'd be able to create a community for you before you get there. So we'll help you introduce yourselves to teachers, whether you're primary school or a high school teacher or a special needs teacher that's either looking to go to the western suburbs of Melbourne, or you're going to a certain part of New South Wales or a certain part of Western Australia or Queensland, whatever. We will help you build a community of South Africans and teachers before you get there, so you can understand what things are like in a classroom environment in that state, what work is like for that particular schooling system, and what things are like outside of a school. What are the shops like? What are the schools like for my kids? What are the churches like? Are there great sporting clubs that we can join? All these, I wouldn't say random things. They're very important things, but other things outside of a classroom environment we'd be able to touch on. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to get into tonight's slide, and the topic, or the topics, should I say, that we'll be covering would be a number of different aspects, such as income, what life is like in Australia, whether or not you as a teacher would be able to sustain a lifestyle for you and your family. Is this a good move at the end of the day? This is what it's about. Thank you for joining us. So just a little bit about myself. I'm not going to get too much into this. I'm not going to blow smoke here, but I've been lucky enough to be working for New World for just shy of 12 years. I've focused on immigration for families to Oz, and mainly focused on recruitment in recent years. And as Danny said, focusing on teachers moving to Australia. That's really where my passion lies. Yeah.
Maybe because your wife's also a teacher.
Yes.
So yes. I feel like you've got first-hand experience of what it is to be a teacher and the passion that you need to have behind it.
Danny, you've hit the nail on the head there. I don't think I would have had the passion to help another professional if I haven't you need to kind of dive into something.
Yeah.
And when you dive into something and you get married to the person, you sort of dive into their career as well.
100%.
And you invest in all of that too. And you start to understand the passion a teacher has. It's like none other profession out there. You understand what they do outside of the classroom when the doors are closed and, no one's watching. What you actually do for the classroom, the kids, and the school in general. It is amazing. And for what they get paid to do that, it actually hurts.
Yeah. Yes. I sat on just to interrupt you there, on a call with the teacher, and she was going through the struggles. Now, mind you, a lot of these teachers that we assist are coming from rural schools of 30, 40 classes or students in their classroom. Yeah. And there's a lot of effort and passion and work that gets put into that. And they're not getting rewarded for that.
No.
She told me her salary, and I sat with her in tears because I couldn't comprehend the amounts of passion and effort and everything that she was putting into this. And she just wasn't getting out what she deserved. Yeah.
No, it happens. And you can really take your hat off to them, because you don't become a teacher to become the next millionaire, But in saying that, many teachers are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. You want to make sure that you're getting some sort of return from that, especially if you're a parent. You although you're spending so many hours away from family and your kids and so on, you want to make sure that you're doing it for the greater good, not just for your career, but there is some sort of reward. And if income might be that, let's show you exactly through the slideshow why Australia has done just that. Are we going to touch on one of the major topics here? The most sought after country for teachers right now is Australia. And the reason why Australia, ladies and gentlemen, is experiencing such a shortage. So there are two major things here. So the first thing is a lot of teachers have gone into retirement in recent years. Unfortunately, the Australian population is quite old. It's not as young as what South Africa has or is. So a lot of teachers are going into retirement, and they're not filling that gap quick enough with local teachers fast enough. So this gap is opening up. And as time has gone by, they're not qualifying teachers quick enough to fill that gap. Secondly, a lot of skilled migrants are moving into Australia or over to Australia with children of their own. Now the government schools, private schools have had to invest, build schools, expand schools, etc., to cater for the growing population of children or younger citizens, and they need more and more teachers to fulfill the roles that these schools are opening. So that is exactly why there's such a shortage. And what the Australian government is doing right now, ladies and gentlemen, is creating a pathway to bring teachers in, which is known as a working visa or a skilled visa. But I'm not going to bore you with the immigration stuff right now. Essentially, there are schools that have made contact with us and recruiters that made contact with us to help them find suitable staff, which is where each and every one of you come in. All right. So what we'll touch on are a couple of vacancies that we have in our books. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't only have 9 vacancies in our books. We probably have about 80 or 90.
We could fit on a page.
But just to give you an idea of income, some locations, some of the subjects we touch on, many South African teachers want to know whether or not their subjects would also apply in Australia. And the short answer is yes, bar, Afrikaans, and LO. The rest of the subjects, absolutely. Give me an idea of some of the teachers that you've spoken to and the subjects they've taught, and maybe some of the success stories, Danny, that you may.
Success stories. Oh, I love a good success story.
Yeah.
So most recent placement that we did was for Carl and Bianca.
Yes.
So it's a coupled up teachers. And by the way, I don't know if you've noticed, so it's either the combo of a teacher and a tradesman or 2 teachers. But in general, if it's 2 teachers that we put forth 4 positions or vacancies, they get grabbed like it's the best thing since gold.
Yeah, it's an awesome package for a school, really. I mean, you're getting 2 teachers at the same time.
Now, we put them forth for 2 positions, and they actually got them both. But the one that connected with them the most, and I emphasize on that because, guys, this isn't just take any opportunity that gets given to you. It doesn't have to be that way. And Sean does explain this to a lot of these teachers that we help. We continue our recruitment efforts until we find something you are happy with. Now, in this case, this happened for Kyle and Bianca with the Christian school that we were dealing with. And it was quite an emotional interview. It opened up in prayer, and she dived deeply into her life and her family life and her relationship. And I mean, I ended up in tears. It was one of the first interviews I was a part of where I was really praying that this happened. And once it happened, it was just it's a feeling that I can't explain that I know you've had when you give these people this call and you say, Kyle, Bianca, you guys did it, you know? And it's not like they put on flashy and said big words and were trying to say what we wanted to hear. They were really just themselves, which is what makes this process so admirable, is you get it right by being yourself.
Your authentic self.
Your authentic
self.
The
more authentic you are in an interview room, I can advocate for that big time, because the more authentic you are, as opposed to trying to portray this person that you're not, and people pick that up.
They do very quickly.
You know, these schools interview, and they've had interviews with hundreds of staff members from around the world, and they'll quickly pick up your authentic self or not. So that's a good tip, actually. Well done for bringing that up.
It's really good. Just be yourself. I've seen the best interviews that I've been a part were just conversations with normal people. Yeah. I think the candidates that we put forth are very nervous because they say, oh, it's Australia, it's international. I'm so nervous. What are they going to ask me?
It's intimidating. It can be intimidating. But when you start pushing that aside and realizing that an interview is really a conversation between 2 people or 3 people, and will they like who I am, and would it not really do they like me, but am I going to fit well in their establishment? Exactly. And will the establishment fit well with me? That's really what it's about.
It's just people connecting. It's connecting, finding out a bit about one another. Do our interests align? Do we have the same values? And that on its own, it's a beautiful conversation to have. It's not something that really should be intimidating. It is, but when you get it right, it's beautiful.
No, it is. It is a stunning conversation and journey. And to give you some perspective there on salaries, ladies and gentlemen, and before you start getting into the job market and in conversation with your immigration consultants or your recruiter, whoever you decide to use during this journey, it's very difficult to understand what you're going to earn straight off the bat, right? We can give you ballpark figures based on work experience and location and these type of things. But after an interview, you will really understand, and the school will really understand the worth and your value, really. And you'll then be presented with a contract or an offer once you've had a successful interview. And the school would be able to explain to you exactly what your salary would be based on the work experience that you've had. If you may have had senior teaching experience, if you've just had classroom experience, if you've had higher senior roles such as deputy or head of department, all these things are factored into your salary that you'd be receiving within the package. So to give you some perspective, the average teacher will earn around about 100,000 Australian dollars per annum. And we'll show you what that equates to in order for you to whether or not you'd actually sustain a good lifestyle there. Yeah. But the chart on the right-hand side, or maybe your left-hand side, depending on where you are, you'd be able to understand, what you'd possibly be able to earn. There are benefits, major key benefits, as that last point mentioned there, is that a lot of schools offer additional benefits in working in remote areas. And remote doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be living in a one-horse town. What this really means is that, like I live in Milnerton, and many people live in Langebaan. You've got hospitals, you've got malls, you've got all of that in Langebaan, but you're not living in Cape Town CBD. But you've got access to everything else. That's kind of what remote really means, to give you some perspective. Based on work experience, based on positions that you may have held, as I explained earlier on, that would determine your annual salary. So just coming back to the topic of average salary and the income, would I be able to sustain, and this is a good question that we get asked often, the income I earn, would it be enough to sustain a good lifestyle? Like if I go over, I don't want to go backward.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and a lot of teachers go over and would start working and their spouse is behind. That's also a big question that gets asked is, am I going to be able to sustain my household when I get there, being the only one employed until my partner gets employment? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, with the amount of teachers that we've had the pleasure of working with and placing over the years, we've seen time and time again that the average salaries that teachers get paid against the cost of living in Australia, there's a major portion that they're able to save, that they're able to invest, they're able to use for travel, they're able to, do things that they weren't necessarily able to do in South Africa or wherever they're originally from. So just to give you an example on that slide there, you'll see the average household income is just shy of 74,000 Australian dollars. So what the average income of a teacher is far more than that. And yes, as Danny said, you'd be able to sustain a good lifestyle.
Actually sustain.
Comfortably, exactly.
There's a difference between sustaining and sustaining comfortably, and comfortably is the correct word. Yeah, we're going to Australia to live our best life, not just live life.
Exactly. No, for sure. A couple of key points that we'd also like to touch on when going over as a teacher. What can I not expect? And I want to try and make that clear, ladies and gentlemen. Some people use the word expect, and an expectation, unfortunately, can't really be there because it's all dependent on what the school offers and where the school's located and these type of things. But as a teacher, you have the benefits of enrolling your children in the same school, in most cases at the same school where you're employed at. And they often offer reduced rates for your child to attend or children to attend that school. Many schools also offer relocation support packages. Like as an example, we got a chap over from Kenya He was based in Kenya, Granville, and he's been there for just over 8-9 months now. And him and a colleague that got over there that we also placed got a $10,000 relocation allowance that they received on top of their first month's salary, which he was then able to help cover things like flights that he had paid for, accommodation, or whatever it might be. There's also opportunities for professional development. So I don't know if you can recall a couple of the packages and offers you may have received in terms of
what they focus a lot on professional development. I mean, if you look at people we've placed before, I can't remember, I'm really bad at names, but that lady from Kenya that you placed who's now HOD of the maths department.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a prime example of professional development.
Yeah.
You get in there, it's not to say that your salary that you started with, which is great already, is going to set in stone like that.
Yeah.
You are going to grow. If that is what you want, that is what you will achieve. And that is what the school is going to want for you as well. And that is why these interviews are as intense as they are, because that's the goal. It is growth. Growth from maths teacher to head of department to deputy to principal. If that is what you want, then that is what the schools are going to offer you.
What I've seen the difference and this is also quite heartbreaking and this is not only for teachers. I mean, I've seen it for trades guys, construction guys, healthcare workers, is that many employers in South Africa will keep a person at a certain point because if they level up, it would be more cost to them.
Yeah.
And fortunately in Australia, money is not a problem. Money really isn't a problem.
No.
Whether you're going private or public, whether you're working for an independent school or a public school, money is not a problem. They are well funded, well equipped, and well supported. So money is never an issue. They want to develop your personal background, professional development, for the sake of their kids, their school. If they pay you more, that's fine because they've got the resources to do so. Another thing we'd also like to touch on accommodation. Before you land in Australia, there is a step-by-step process that our immigration team or our relocations department would help you find accommodation where most schools do. Many schools do offer this sort of support. And if you don't have that sort of support from the school, we'd be able to come to the table and help you with that.
100%.
So those of you that don't know, we happen to have a podcast of our own. It's called the Arrival Lounge. Of course, you can click subscribe, like it, and follow it from our YouTube channel. And again, it's called the Arrival Lounge. We have hosted a number of families on this page, such as the Skippers family. She's a teacher that we placed in Melbourne about 2 years ago. And we caught up with her and her husband, Sean. And we just sat down for about an hour having a beautiful conversation, how life has been for them, what school's been like, and just how Australia's treated them since they've been there. And there are more stories like that. So please go onto the Arrival Lounge on YouTube, follow us, like us, and watch what we have available for you there.
I think that what you do here with these podcasts are beautiful. And I know that clients and candidates that I've been speaking to really appreciate that, because it's sometimes not always the easiest to hear what we have to say from our point of view. So to be able to hear from a teacher's point of view with a family and teachers or families that have gone through what you have or are going through what you have allows you to see things from a whole different perspective.
Well, absolutely. The thing is that I might be speaking about interesting topics, but sometimes I think if I were a teacher, I don't want to speak to Sean. Like, let me speak to a teacher. Let me get it from the horse's mouth.
Exactly.
And whether or not the podcast gives you those answers, ladies and gentlemen, I will personally introduce you to families such as the Skippers, and a host of other teaching families that have gone over to Australia that are now living and thriving in various parts of the country. Like I said earlier on, I'm happy to do that, to put your mind at ease, but again, most importantly, to build that network before you get there. So just 2 pictures of many families that we've had the pleasure of getting to Australia. So you've got the Skippers family, so Sean and the family based in Melbourne on the right-hand side there. And then, of course, you've got Nelly and her family that landed in Sydney. They've taken a beautiful picture. And it's such an awesome journey and relationship that I've built with both these, and we've built with both these families. We keep in contact with them regularly. We stay in contact with most of the families. We try and keep in contact with all of them.
You really are good at that, Sean. I mean, I'm not trying to use this word. But anyway, I see you constantly on the phone. Guys, how's Australia? On video calls, busy showing the team how the family that he just placed is busy chilling on the beach, you know? And it's beautiful to know that you're part of that journey. Not just, okay, you signed what you needed, off you go.
Yeah, good luck sort of thing.
You know, no. He really is part of that, and he does connect. I think Haley, that I was just speaking to before the podcast, is wanting to get into connection with teachers that you've placed. And she mere dropped in tears when she found out that there is a community in Australia and there are so many other teachers in Australia. I mean, the interview that we had this morning for the speech pathologist as well. Yeah. Lady was from Botswana.
Yes.
I don't know, but it's like we everywhere. South Africans, we really are everywhere.
Yeah. No, we are.
Oh, we are.
And we're there to support one another. You know, we're definitely, and it's such a beautiful community of foreigners that land, whether you're from Kenya, whether you're from Zimbabwe, whether you're from Namibia, South Africa, different parts of SA. You know, that network that I keep speaking about, you'll quickly find yourself humbled and in love, really, with these families. It's amazing what they do. It is really, really incredible. You know what it is that they wish they had families that did that for them when they landed. So they merely just want to make sure that your journey is that much easier. Right? Here's another family that we were able to assist. In fact, it was one of the very first teachers. Hannah was one of the very first teachers that I placed in Australia. They're based in Victoria. So Hannah left us a little bit of a comment there, a positive comment on how things have been going. And Debbie was our case manager. And Debbie works with most of our teachers.
Yeah, she does.
Who assist teachers going through the various paperwork and requirements and on. She's amazing, right?
Lovely. There's probably, she can talk about anything and everything.
Yeah.
No, she's got a personality and passionate as well.
Very passionate.
Hardworking and passionate about what she does. I've never met anything. Yeah, no words there.
No, she's what's amazing is that as a mother, she knows how to put things aside and really dedicates herself to the work and the clientele that she's very passionate about what she does, you know. So we're very blessed to have Debbie. In fact, everyone else that works for New World, Debbie working with teachers, guys, you will love her. She's amazing.
She is.
So just for those that need a bit of a step-by-step understanding, right? You know, where do we go? How do we start this process? Who do I, where do I go, right? So point one, first step is not to get into the job market, ladies and gentlemen. Do not put the cart in front of the horse. What we aim to do, and the most effective way to get placed in Australia, is to get your paperwork in order. So what we would do is, and Danny only found this out the other day.
I knew it's coming out somewhere.
So what we do, ladies and gentlemen, is we build a portfolio of evidence to prove that you are on par with Australian standards. Now, unfortunately, the teaching standards in countries differ from one another. Whether you're from Singapore, whether you're from China, whether you're from South Africa, headed to Australia, the university standards, what happens in a classroom in terms of lesson plans, these type of things, things differ, and things can differ quite dramatically. So what we want to do is prove that whatever you've studied, and whether it's a PGCE or a BEd, and the work experience you've had, we want to prove that it's on par with their standards. So once we're done with that, we are far more effective in getting you into the job market by putting you in front of principals and HR departments to now prove that, yes, you are on par with Australian standards, although you're applying from whichever country you are. Once you've been accepted for a position and you've signed a contract, you put pen on paper, we will then help you and guide you with the registration process of becoming a registered teacher in Australia. This, again, is a point that I will introduce you to teachers in Australia to help you guide your, at least point you in the right direction as to how this happens. It can be a bit of a tedious process. Some families go through it quite easily, and some families, it can be quite difficult. So I will introduce you to teachers that have gone through this. They're there, and they'll help you, guide you through that process. And then once that's done, we apply for your visa. So this is where Debbie comes in, or New World Immigration will step in, and we will facilitate the visa for you and your accompanying dependents to head over at the same time. Your spouse, on the other hand, whether you're the teacher or when you're the teacher and you've got a partner or a spouse joining you, your partner or spouse will get immediate working rights, which means you're not going to be the only person earning an income as the teacher. Although you'll earn enough to sustain the family, your spouse or dependent will be able to work as well. Ladies and gentlemen, when starting this process, connect with us on teachers@nwivisas.com. We host, as I said, the platform and the podcast to help families connect and teachers connect. But this email address is where you're going to be starting your journey to understand your age. Do you qualify? Your qualifications, do you hold the qualifications required? Do you have the right work experience that's needed? By emailing this email address, the team will make contact with you. We'll go through qualifying questions, criteria, make sure that you fit what schools are looking for. And from that point, we will start the journey with you.
I've got a question.
Please, go ahead.
Based on the vacancies that we have available now, when would be the sufficient time to start? Should I, as a teacher, want to be put forth as a candidate for these positions? When would I need to start with my skills assessment?
That's a good point. So starting your teaching portfolio, your skills assessment, really is up to you guys. I mean, I want to say that the earlier you do it, the better. But it's going to be dependent on when you ultimately want to be in Australia by. The skills assessment is valid for quite a long period of time. It's valid for 2 years. It takes us quite a while, I mean, maybe 4 or 5 months to actually get the outcome of your skills assessment. So if it takes you 3, 4, maybe 5 months to get a skill assessment, and you're wanting to get into the job market, let's say in the beginning of next year, start your skills assessment immediately. Make contact with your consultant, get in touch with us. Let's start that process. But if you are looking to still get into the job market in the second or third term, or even the following year, the quicker you have a skills assessment, the quicker you're able to start getting yourself in the job market and finding which best schools would be best suitable for you, your family, what locations are best for you guys, and you're able to start your permanent residency process as well. So really, to come back to your question, Danny, the earlier the better, because it opens up so many doors for you as a teacher.
Okay. I think that answered the most. Did we touch on regional areas?
So look, the regional aspects, we can definitely touch on that quickly. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like living in Langebaan in Cape Town. You know, that is regional. You know, you've got access to everything you need. Your children have access to schools. Your children have access to safety, security, these type of things. But you're not going to be in one-off's town. You're not living in Brisbane. You're not living in Sydney. You're not living in Melbourne itself, which is expensive. You want to try and live in a cost-effective place initially where you're actually going to get paid more because there's more of a demand for you there. Your cost of living's down. Your disposable income's higher. You can build a nest egg for yourself. And you'll be able to do that as a family very quickly. 3, 4, 5 years' time, you then move to one of your larger cities, such as Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, whatever the case might be, and you can continue your career from that point. But I would certainly suggest looking at your more remote or rural or outskirts towns. Again, not a one-horse town or one kangaroo town, as they may call it in Australia, but certainly it is the best place to start. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Please reach out to us. Please like our page. Please follow us and subscribe to our various platforms and our Facebook, our Instagram, our TikTok, as well as the Arrival Lounge podcast that we have available. Make contact with us at New World Immigration. You'll have the link, I think, below to leave an inquiry with us. We'll make contact with you. One of the consultants will assess your profile, see how well you qualify. If you want to reach out to us directly as a teacher, please email us on the email address, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Have a great evening. Thanks, Danny. I appreciate you joining us.